Minimalism isn't just a trend, it's a transformational lifestyle, especially in retirement.
It's an important change that we all have to go through because as we age, the clutter in our lives, both physical and mental, can really become overwhelming. So minimalism offers a refreshing approach to living with purpose and joy.
If you continue down a path of accumulation, you might miss out on the true essence of retirement, which is living a life full of meaning.
This is exciting. We're happy you're here today. My name is Mark, and this is my wife, Jody.
We don't focus on the financial aspects of retirement, but rather your lifestyle, your health, your relationships, and much more.
So if you like this video, and we hope you do, please share it with someone that you care about who's also on their retirement journey.
You know, today we want to help you make this transformation from owning things, stuffing things, to really starting to shed things. And today we're going to answer a couple of questions together. One, what can I get rid of now? And two, what are the benefits of living as a minimalist?
As a minimalist, I have such trouble saying that word. How do I even begin to change my thinking from an accumulator to a minimalist? And another question is, really, why is it important to do this, especially now?
You know, I think it matters more now than ever. So you can really have a clear head and a clean home for your retirement. You're spending more time there.
Yeah.
Many people are.
Now, we've always been pretty neat people. Our houses are pretty neat, our homes have always been neat. Our rooms are neat. You know, we don't have a lot of...
But we have 6 kids.
Well, we hide stuff.
So when they come home, I'll send you guys a picture. Sometimes there's more than 20 pairs of shoes at the front door.
Well, that's not that big of a deal, but you're right. But there's a TV show that we've glanced at a couple times. I can't remember the name. I think it's called Hoarders.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not judging the show, but if you watch that, these are people that just can't throw anything out, and their house is wall-to-wall stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That stresses me out big time. And I think that if you took a real fresh look at whatever room you're sitting in now and just look around, and we actually have a messy bookcase over here.
We do.
We got paper stacked up over there. We got stuff on top of the shredder.
Wow, this is a good exercise
this
for
is
us,
a box
actually.
So you know what? All of a sudden now I'm stressed out and I can't do this video. But all kidding aside, when there's stuff in your physical space, it really does. It's hard to relax. I think.
Well,
it's hard to think clearly.
It clutters kind of you from the inside out, doesn't it?
Right.
It kind of clutters your head and everything. You know, we just emptied a huge storage room that we got after we downsized our home in New York. And
a rental unit.
It was a storage rental unit, and really, how much of it was filled with our stuff? I would say 25%.
Yeah.
How much of it's filled with the kids' stuff? Probably 50%.
Right.
And then the other 25% is like your parents' stuff.
Right.
So we kind of, started to cross over into this minimalism challenge of, do we really need all this stuff?
I know. And, you might be thinking that you just don't want to deal with it.
Well, that's easy to think, for
sure.
Well,
it is easy to think
because it's hard to do.
And you also might be thinking, how's it really going to help me by getting rid of this stuff? Well, we're going to spend time in this video addressing those very issues. So why don't we jump in?
Let's talk about some of the benefits of living a life as a minimalist, okay? The first thing I would always put out there to you, and I'd really like you to think about it, is your health. Minimalism promotes a focus on well-being, your well-being inside and out, your physical and your mental well-being. And it helps individuals prioritize their health, leading to improved diet, exercise, and sleep. There's studies out there that talk about that.
So minimalism in health, I think what I'm thinking as we're talking about this is that if you can live a minimalistic life where you have less stuff and things and there's not a lot of junk
It doesn't mean zero stuff and things
but
either.
Less.
Right.
Then it frees up your mind to be able to focus on those things that are important. And one of those things is your health. And we're really big on that. So that's one of the benefits of living this kind of life. And the other thing is, if you apply the concept minimalism to your relationships, it really allows you to prioritize those relationships that are most important, and then you have a bucket of those that are somewhat important, and then you just say, you know what, the ones that aren't important, I just need to shed them. And it sounds harsh.
It does.
But in order to live
it does.
It sounds harsh, but it's true.
Yeah. I mean, we all have, no matter who you are, you have 24 hours in the day, and then minus your sleep and, minus your hopefully physical activity and your things that you're doing for yourself.
Right.
How much time do you have to give focused energy to those people who really matter?
Well, that's the point.
And I think that's the point. So it's not maybe necessarily shedding people, but really taking a look at this finite amount of time that you have and really prioritizing where you want to spend it.
Right, because then you just won't really have time for those other things. You can't treat every single relationship that you have the same. It's impossible.
Another topic would be your finances. I think minimalism leads to some real financial freedom,
Well,
right?
it cuts down on your spending, right?
It does.
And you can sell some things that you have to get some extra money, too.
And I think it also balances like the worth thing, is this truly worthy to me, or
Right.
is it expendable?
Yeah.
And maybe it helps you value things differently.
Yeah. And again, minimalism, it creates creativity. It allows for creativity. Because if you remove all these distractions, then you can get creative. You can find the time to write or to paint or engage in other creative endeavors like this business. We have time for it to do, and we really enjoy it.
So it's interesting. So we've talked about the benefits, and we made it sound pretty easy. But the reality is it's hard to make this change from an accumulative lifestyle
Right.
to a minimalist lifestyle.
One of the things is this idea of you identify yourself with the stuff that you own. And
So you
whether
almost
it's-
have an identity crisis.
You do. So you have to let go of items that you have a hard time letting go of items that you feel identify who you are. Frankly, your title during your career was how you identified yourself. And when you leave your career, enter retirement, you need to let go of that because it's not really tied into you anymore. That's why people don't really want to shed things.
So what's an item? Not your identity, but what's an item that people...
Well, for me, I have like 6 frying pans. I only need 4 or 2. So I know that's kind of crazy.
That is kind of funny.
Yeah, that's not really who I
Yeah.
identify, but I love to cook. So
Well,
I like
know
all the
for
gadgets.
me,
So.
and maybe, some of the women that watch our channel, when I retired, I had a lot of suits, I had a lot of work dresses, I had a lot of heels. I didn't buy a lot of expensive clothes, but I had enough clothes for a 35-year career in corporate America. And it really felt good to turn those over to other women that could use
Right.
them and needed them at different times in their career. So shedding those was kind of a shedding of my identity,
Yeah,
I guess, right?
One of the other pressures that come at us that prevents us from wanting to be a minimalist is just society pressures. So depending upon who you hang out with, they might say, well, why are you driving around an older car now? You've always had a new car. But it's just, at our phase, it doesn't really make sense to do that.
So there's like social pressures?
There's social
to keep...
pressures, but they're self-inflicted. And, the other thing is fear of regret. You don't want to get rid of something, and this is where I'm really guilty. I don't want to get rid of those extra 2 frying pans because I think one day down the road I might need it to make that special meal.
Yeah,
but
I
that's
think,
nonsense.
I think for me it's black pants.
You don't want to get rid of black pants.
I just have a lot of pairs of black pants.
Well,
and I fear that, if I get rid of a pair, that's the pair I'm going to want to wear.
Well, the other thing that happens is we get emotionally attached to certain items. We don't want to get rid of it because we're emotionally attached to it.
Right.
That box of egg beaters that are downstairs that were invented by my grandfather. Great grandfather. We have these leftover things
Right.
that carry on that I really can't get rid of them because one day I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm emotionally attached to certain things, so I don't want to get rid of it. That's how you find yourself with things that you don't want anymore.
Yeah, I think for me that in that bucket would be probably my mom's china. My mom had a china for every season.
And I think the other reason...
And that makes it tough because I'm emotionally attached to my mom who's no longer with us. God rest her soul.
Yeah, what do you
But-
do with them? I mean,
And what do I do with her china?
Yeah.
So there is an emotional attachment.
And the other reason that, the last reason I could think of why it's so hard is because it becomes overwhelming.
Yeah.
and making these decisions all the time on your mom's china, my frying pans, whatever. So we just don't do it because it's
Right.
overwhelming.
Right.
And that's bad. It really takes effort to do that. You know, it takes a shift in mindset and values. And it can be challenging for sure.
It
But the
definitely
benefits, such as reduced stress, ability to increase focus and be creative, and living a more intentional life can make the journey more worthwhile.
So what's a couple of things that people can do like right now to begin that first step into becoming a minimalist?
Start decluttering. Declutter. You know what we're going to do this afternoon?
We're going to declutter the office.
We're going to declutter the office.
Oh,
I mean,
boy.
look at it. We don't even use these books anymore. We read these books and they were helpful, but we need to declutter. We need to donate the books to get rid of it because we don't use them.
So I would say like removing items you no longer use and then focus on one area or a room
Well, that's a good
or
idea.
a closet or like under a sink or like
Right.
one area at a time.
The other thing to do is to start embracing being intentional. Be intentional about choices of what you want to bring into your life that's new. And we're good at this now. With Amazon and everything, you just go in there in 2 seconds, it shows up in a day.
Well, I think that's
So-
the next bucket, right?
Well, before making a purchase, we really ask ourselves, not do we need it, but is it going to bring value
Right.
to our life? Because
Yeah.
you can always justify it, but if it's not bringing value, then we're not going to buy it.
Because I think the third thing you can do is really to limit your consumerism, right? And that's hard in this day and age when everything is a click away and you get it the next day.
Sure,
I mean,
yeah.
it was easier 20 years ago when you had to actually go shop for it.
Yeah, or Instagram. It's
Right.
all these ads that pop up.
I
Boom,
know.
you're done.
As soon
It's
as you
just-
talk about something.
I know, it's crazy.
Scary.
And I think that, again, as far as
Steps.
using the minimalism on your relationships is really start at the top or the inner circle. Invest time and energy in the most meaningful relationships. We just spent the weekend with family and friends at a wedding shower. We played golf with your brother and some of our kids. That's really a good way to prioritize relationships is go to the core and spend time with them.
Yeah. And I'd say another thing that you can do kind of right out of the gate is focus on experiences over possessions, right? Seeking your joy and fulfillment through your experiences rather than through that next shiny item that you can buy.
Yeah. And then all of this is reflect and adjust on it. I mean, regularly evaluate your lifestyle choices, evaluate what things you're bringing into your life that bring value or not, and adjust that to learn more about what does it mean to you to be a minimalist.
Right. And just remember the journey to minimalism is personal and it's unique to each of you as individuals. It's finding out what works for you and aligning your life with it.
So this is a big change for many people, including ourselves, and it can be hard. So step one, stop accumulating. Make the mindset switch and really challenge yourself when you start thinking about bringing something new into your life.
And just shed that excess stuff and things, including people, I guess, your clothing and things that have built up that no longer serve any purpose.
So we hope this video was helpful. This next one, top ways downsizing can bring freedom and happiness. You're going to love this video because we share the steps, the benefits, and we talk about right sizing instead of downsizing as a choice that you can make. So watch this one next.